story about branding is it's just a matter of doing the right things at the right moment for the right reason, with the right people. I am Claus Meyer, and I am an entrepreneur who works within the field of gastronomy and food. And I also have a degree from Copenhagen Business School, and I'm an associate professor from Copenhagen University in the area of food science. I spoke about how to develop a company based on a philosophy of creating value for others and for the society. So the concept of always looking for the larger picture, the bigger purpose, and the power of working with win-win-win scenarios rather than just focusing on short-term profit potentials. Branding is not about doing the easy thing all the time, but also about doing great stuff, even though that in a certain period produces critique that may harm your brand in a shorter period, but in the longer run build an even stronger brand. I mean, for me, what differentiates simple, superficial storytelling from true branding in the most ideal interpretation of the word is that branding is a result of the quality of whatever you're doing, seen from God's perspective. I hope that is what branding is. I normally create very small companies with a very strong reason for being. And for me, that is not storytelling. It is kind of the opposite. When a story tells itself, I think that is different from storytelling. So storytelling for me is when you have to invent something, or you do something so that you can tell a nice story. So when you actually do the right thing, set up a venture that will potentially produce the most decent and wonderful bread that you can possibly bake. I mean, if that concept is outstanding enough, then it is my experience that the project, if it stands out sufficiently, then it will shine to the extent that you will not have to care about marketing or branding basically the story will tell itself. So for me, it is rather a matter of seducing the customer with something they couldn't get on beforehand, rather than adapting to them. So as a book buyer, you don't actually buy something because of the publisher, but because of the writer. So I think that reflects some kind of lack of ambition or genius in the branding strategies of the publishers. I have the feeling that it is possible for publishers to create much stronger brands, but they have to be more careful with what they're doing, with whom and how they kind of present it in the market, or maybe even create sub-publishing units that will have more well-defined brands than the overall big brand. Because if you do everything with anyone, then your brand will be kind of diluted or at least unclear. The whole concept of trying to create a company that becomes a movement, where you have not clients but fans who respect you and like you and want to be part of what you're doing. Of course, if you have the right mindset, then you could do exactly the same thing in almost any industry. So I think that there are a lot of learnings from the way in which I have changed the landscape in which I navigate in through my entrepreneurial activities. Changed the landscape in a way that was also favorable for what I wanted to do with my company. I think that can be a very important lesson for any kind of industry, that you can change your competitive landscape in a direction that favors who you are and what you want to do. And in the same way, you produce a good impact in your society.